my name is Lindsay and I'm the Edible and Bedding Department Head Manager over at Ramrock Garden Center. And just with all of the current events that are happening in the world today where we are confined to our homes, which probably seems like a really small space right now, just to limit our human contact, we feel that it is really awesome to get outside while you have the time so you can garden. And at the garden center right now we've heard some talk about planting victory gardens, but we're going to consider this victory gardening 2.0. So for some of us who don't have this space, like myself, I live in an apartment, so I really only have a small patio setting where I can potentially grow veggies, houseplants, herbs, flowers, anything. We want to discuss maximizing your space and small space gardening. So I'm taking you outside of the garden center and into my own personal patio so I can give you some tips and show you what I've done, and maybe you have some really awesome options yourself and you can feel free to share them, and we would love to hear from you. So you don't need a ton of space in order to grow your own vegetables, herbs, or fruits. What you do need are pots, plenty of sunshine, really good soil, and a source of water. So to start, you're going to want to analyze the area and space that you're going to be utilizing and just make sure that you get plenty of sunshine. So most fruiting plants and vegetables require 6 or more hours of sun, and if you don't happen to have that, oftentimes your plants are going to be stressed and your fruit isn't going to ripen properly. So if you're sun challenged and your patio or balcony doesn't get that many hours of sun, try growing some lettuce and some leafy greens, because those will do just fine in some light shade. So next, you're going to want to consider your water source. Most of your fruiting plants and veggies require regular watering, especially going into the warmer months here in Texas. You're just going to want to make sure that all of your plants get adequate water. And because you can't always rely on the rain, some options to ensure that you have water nearby are to build or buy your own rain catchers or water reservoirs, which I haven't done yet and I do plan to. But as of right now, I actually use several buckets and some recycled jugs that I just had around the house, and I end up filling those with water from the sink in my kitchen, and I bring them outside to sit and disperse water as needed. If you happen to be lucky and you have a water spigot in or near your apartment that you can attach a hose to, obviously you can always use a hose, or you can even install a drip irrigation system, and most of those systems are actually really easy to install and they're not super expensive. And if all else fails, you can use your trusty old watering can. So next, you're going to want to consider your soil options. All of your fruiting plants and veggies require soil that is high in organic matter. So one of my favorite products that we carry at the garden center is called Gardener's Magic. We do have a few other brands that we carry, and we just recently brought in some new ladybug soil products recently at the beginning of this year, and all of those are really great choices as well. And then you'll also want to consider adding some compost and some fertilizer. To fertilize, you're going to want to apply that every 3 to 4 weeks, and one of my favorite products that we carry is called Microlife 846. So this guy right here is a little bit higher in nitrogen, and it really helps to get things rolling. It's good for veggies, fruits, bedding plants, and really all new plantings. So definitely pick some of that up. And if you have any specific soil questions or any other questions about some of the products that we carry, please call, email, or better yet, come into the garden center and chat with any of us. And you can specifically ask for my coworkers, Michelle or Chuck, and they would be happy to answer all of your soil-related questions. So with the limited amount of space that you have, you're going to want to consider what kind of vegetables you can purchase to maximize your space. So you'll want to look for compact varieties. Anything with the words tiny, baby, dwarf, patio in the name are really safe bets in order to help you determine that. Just because the plant is bred for small space gardening doesn't mean it's going to yield any less, and it doesn't mean your fruits are going to be any smaller. You should also consider some vining options such as beans, cucumbers, squash, anything that you can train on a trellis or a stake, so you can grow that vertically and upright, and that'll help maximize the varieties that you can choose and just fill out the space that you have. Virtually any fruit, veggie, or herb can be planted in a container and grown really well. So for like herbs and leafy greens, you can use small pots, and plants such as tomatoes, peppers, eggplants, you'll want to start with a 5-gallon container or larger. You'll also want to consider the material your container is made out of and the color. So the bigger the pot, the less often you'll have to water, and the color such as black is going to hold quite a bit more heat than something that's a little bit lighter, and such as like clay pots, those are going to lose moisture a little bit faster. So just keep that in the back of your mind when you determine what you're going to be planting in. So welcome to my patio. Just so you have a visual of how at least I've tried to maximize my space. I obviously use a lot of pots, a lot of vertical space savers, a lot of shelving units. A lot of these you can get at garden centers, online at Amazon, places like IKEA. You can even check out your Goodwill and try and repurpose something. You know, just get creative. So I have at least 3 shelving units. Some of them, like this one, is actually holding a lot of my indoor plants right now. Now that it's warm, I've decided to bring them outside. And just as far as my water source, these are the buckets and the jug, and even my awesome little watering can that I fill up and bring outside to use. I even use the tables. I did some Googling, and Pinterest is one of my favorite sites, and I got this really cool idea to use a pallet and convert it into a planter, and I ended up getting these actual planter boxes over at Goodwill, and I drilled some holes in the bottom for drainage. And you can really grow anything that's going to stay a little bit lower to the surface of your soil. For my pots, I kind of use a variety of things. These guys are all soft pots. I use a lot of plastic pots, some terracotta, and I have a lot of tomato cages and some different stakes just to help to support just a different variety of things that I'm growing right now. So as you can see, I've got some tomatoes, I've got some onions, decided to plant some potatoes. So a lot of these are at least 5 gallons, if not bigger, and that'll really help as all of your plants end up growing into larger plants. I even have a heat mat right here. I started some carrot seeds, and they're starting to grow, so I just wanted to experiment with that. I planted some beans the other day, and I ended up using some bamboo sticks, and I tied them together with some twine just to give those some support as they start to grow. I also planted some squash, and again I use the bamboo poles, and I tie them together with a zip tie. So as this bad boy starts to grow, I'll end up training him upward just to help maximize the space. I also have a bunch of smaller pots in the front here. I'm growing some lettuce, I've got a blueberry bush, I've got an elderberry, and in these what look to be empty pots, I'm actually growing some garlic. You can kind of see it starting to sprout up. I've also got some hangers that I'm using, and some balcony hangers, I guess. The same idea, so anything that you can use to help maximize your space, just get creative, get crafty, and just have fun with it, because you can really, like I said, grow almost anything in a container setting, and you can definitely grow almost anything in a small space setting. So thanks for watching. We appreciate your time, we appreciate the views. I hope that was helpful. Maybe you got some ideas to implement in your own small space setting. If you have any tips that you want to share with us, we'd always be happy to hear them. Even if you have photos, we love photos. So right now it's so important to keep things local, support local, grow your own, because just getting outside right now, spending time with family, 6 feet apart, teaching the kids or anybody just how important it is to know how to grow your own food. It's just so interesting, and it just tastes so much better when it comes from your own garden. So come down and visit us at Roundmark Garden Center. We can't wait to see you. If you have any questions or any further comments, please leave them. Thank you.